What is it like to push the limits of disability? What does the ocean do for us? And why might leafy greens not be the answer? If you'd like to find out, then you're in the right place. Welcome to Between Views. I'm your host, Alec Hosky. This podcast aims to cast light on and connect you with inspirational people, identify them as potential mentors in your journey, and share their stories and wisdom with the world. My hope is that this podcast contains some information that is vital in your journey. In this episode, we converse with Prest about healthy habits, his story overcoming the challenges of disability, positive health effects of the ocean. Speaking of products, we are going to do another giveaway. We have up for grabs 3 tins of 3 Fingers Surf Zinc. All you'll need to do is follow both Between Views and 3 Fingers on Instagram, leave a 5-star review on Spotify, and like our collaborative post. Bonus point if you share it to your story. Just before we get started, if you enjoy listening to this episode, I'd like to invite you to leave a star rating on whichever service you found us, and also the opportunity to join the Between Views Patreon community. This is the best way you can support the podcast. We hope you enjoy.
You keep saying the word health, that you're obsessed with health, you like this health stuff. What would be your sort of like top health tips for people listening? I'd love to. What do you think some things that have been like really beneficial for you in your life in terms of health choices?
Are you sure you want to go down this crazy little hole that this little rabbit hole that I live in? So I was a veggie for a good portion of 25 years. And that all come about from travelling. As you know, I've travelled extensively, a bit like yourself. And when I went on a world trip for, I think it was 14, 15 months, as you travel, and you would be well aware, food's a big cost. And if you cut that cost down by eating locally on the street where all the locals live, then we didn't travel. We travelled Europe, which was fine, but we travelled to a lot of third world countries. So as you would eat off the street, and if you ate the meat off the street, you would typically get sick because there's no refrigeration, etc. So ended up being a veggie for most of that trip around the world. And then when my wife at the time and I come back to Australia, we're both pretty good cooks, and we both decided that we wanted to be veggie because we're pretty much all Southeast Asia. We ate vegetarian all the way through. And then we got back to Australia and that was it. So went veggie, which, you know what, I changed, it would be a year ago now. Now I'm literally just eating fruit, butter, meat, eggs, and raw honey.
Interesting. I literally just got off the phone to my mate, Dean, and he said the exact same thing. Why?
I felt that my energy levels... let me digress. My kids are 13 and 16, and they started to rebel and go, hey, we want to eat meat. And I was still a veggie.
Rebellious.
And they went, Dad, can we just start eating meat? And I went, why not? So my daughter absolutely loves beef and loves her meat. So I started cooking steaks. And then my son said, well, I want to start eating steaks as well. So here I am cooking steaks. And then I went, fuck it. I'm going to start eating meat again. And that was it. And then I stumbled across a guy called Paul Saladino, and he's massive on Instagram. If you want to Google it, Google his
life. What's his name?
Paul Saladino.
Saladino, yeah.
And I literally just followed his eating plan, and it was very easy for me anyway because I was so disciplined at eating vegetarian, and I only really ate fruit in the morning anyway, so I just continued that. I'd always eat eggs when I was a veggie, so it wasn't a drastic change, and I'm very disciplined with the food I eat, my health products, all of that. So it was an easy transition.
Yeah.
And I literally, my muscles just went nuts. They just blew up.
Yeah.
I remember surfing 4 days in a row, and I was having a shave. I didn't have a top on. And I looked at myself and went, holy shit. And I'd been on this meat diet for probably...
after being a vegetarian.
Yeah, after being vegetarian. And I was almost still pretty fit. You've known me for 5 or 6 years. For a 50-year-old, I think I look pretty fit.
Yeah.
But then after that week of eating meat and then getting out of the water for like a week straight, my muscles just loved it. And... that was it. That's it. I don't eat anything green anymore. So no broccoli, no lettuce, nothing.
Why did you drop the broccoli and veg and stuff?
So if you follow Paul Saladino or have a look, I can't remember what leafy greens have in them. However, there's a chemical compound that your body doesn't particularly like.
Oh, really?
And that's why he's all about fruit, because fruit on a tree looks so appealing because it's bright. Bananas are bright, oranges are bright, apples are bright. So that's what you're meant to supposedly eat as a human, not the leafy greens.
Yeah, right. Out with leafy greens, in with fruit.
Say again?
Out with leafy greens and in with fruit.
Yeah, that's it, pretty much. And the kids are like... so we would still make a salad, but it'd just be really simple.
Yeah.
Like a tomato, cucumber, Italian sort of salad.
Yeah.
And that would be it. And the kids are like, isn't there any lettuce? I went, well, no, there's no lettuce, but my daughter and son like... rocket lettuce.
Yeah.
So they...
Nonnas special rocket.
Yeah,
I think I've got some seeds in the garden just now.
Are they from...
From the sock?
Yeah, from the shoe.
From the shoe.
From the shoe. All the way from Italy from like 1910 or 1920s.
Yeah.
So yeah, they love that rocket.
Brilliant.
I don't know how we got to that conversation though. What was your question?
We just dived into some health stuff. You just said it so many times I wanted to talk about it for a second. And the question was, what were your 3 top health tips?
Yeah, so at one stage I would have said be vegetarian. Now in this present moment I would say there's amazing benefits from meat. And I feel for myself I'm in a better spot eating meat. Like my daughter and I will literally have steak in the morning before she goes to school. And I'd have it.
So good.
Or we'd have lamb cutlets left over from the night before and I'll cook them all up. Or she'll take the lamb cutlets to school.
Yeah.
So I will source, there's an amazing South African place over at Mayfield. And they do the best...
Biltong.
Let's
go.
Biltong ever.
Yeah, do they have the Drovvorst as well?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, cool.
So I will buy, when the kids are with me for the week of school, I will buy $50 worth of that to go in their lunch boxes for school. Brilliant. And the 2 kids are like, Dad, you do realise we're the only ones that have got Biltong.
They're munging on Biltong.
So that's number one. I would look at your water, honestly. I would seriously look at your water.
What type of filter do you use? Not sponsored.
I couldn't remember the name, but it's called, you can get them now. Yeah. And they're all, as long as it's a 3-phase reverse osmosis, then you're winning.
And that's to get rid of fluoride.
It gets rid of all heavy metals, so fluoride being one of them. So that's the main one that we wanted to get rid of.
Yeah.
Number 3 is be very, very conscious of what you're putting on your body. So if you have to go back to... So there's whitewashing. Are you aware of what's called whitewashing?
In which context?
In a product. So if you walked into Woolworths today, they would say there would be words organic, natural, no sense, blah, 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 all over the labels.
Yes.
And that's called
buzzwords.
That's called whitewashing.
Yeah, right.
So, but if you turn that bottle over and then Google most of those words that are on shampoo and conditioner and moisturizer, you'd go, oh, that's not so good.
Yeah.
So I would consciously shop at an organics place, which is where we get all our products to go on our body.
Yeah.
And just be aware of everything on the back of those labels.
Do you know a good one in the Newcastle area?
Yeah, the best one, well, there's only one now. There used to be two.
Yeah.
It's the one on at Broadmeadow. Goodness me.
Okay.
It's expensive, but that is the last one. You'd be able to get it online, though, somewhere.
True.
There's a good Maitland one that still pretty sure posts out or delivers.
Yeah.
Try to eat as much organic food as you can.
Yeah.
Would be the other tip as well. So even though it's crazily expensive now, I will still source organic eggs for the kids. And I wish I could buy organic meat, but it's crazy. So if you can buy grass-fed as opposed to grain lot fed, finished, if you can buy grass-fed beef, then
grass-fed's the go.
They're my tips.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks for that. A product inspired by the pursuit of a healthy lifestyle. And Three Fingers is exactly that. We're going to move into the next section of the podcast now. How you going?
Good.
Brilliant. So the next part, there's another part of your life, another story that you have before all of this work and during all of this work, and you were a professional athlete, I believe, or at least performing at a high level.
I would say performing at a high level. I wish I was a professional athlete.
Yeah.
I come from a very sporty family, and I was the third born.
Yeah.
And my two parents were extremely sporty, played in high level for country rep teams.
Yeah.
My brother tried out for Sydney Swans a couple of times, so he was an elite footy player in the country trying to get to the big smoke.
Yeah.
My sister played state level basketball, and that's why we ended up here, because she was playing and got asked to play for the female version of Newcastle Falcons. So she was an exceptional basketballer.
Yeah.
And then I was born with a disability, which is an artificial leg, 3 fingers on one hand, hence the name.
3 fingers natural zinc.
That's right. And I was 4 to 5 inches taller than my 2 siblings. And I still believe to today a lot better rounded as a sportsman as what those two are. So, and then that led me to your question about playing at a high level. So I captained the Australian Paralympic volleyball team in multiple world championships and then the Sydney 2000 games as well.
So you competed at the Olympics?
Sure did. Could have brought in some paraphernalia for you.
Oh, yeah, true.
Still got it all. I busted it out when the, what's the Australian soccer team?
Matildas.
Matildas, when the Matildas were playing in the World Cup here, I had a green playing top. My daughter had the yellow playing top on, and my son was in the local town square with my Paralympic tracksuit top on.
Oh, wow.
And it still all fits.
Yeah. Yeah, he'd be nearly the same size as you now.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting there. So being born with a disability, which things have you encountered in your life that have been challenging for you? Because the reason I ask this question is because you are not someone, it seems, that lets that stop you. You go out, you surf like any of us out in the hole and better, and you played volleyball at such a high level, and clearly you weren't someone who was like, we weren't going to let it get
No.
you. You're gonna see what you could do with your disability. So what have you learned through the process of being born with a disability, and what are some things you've had to go through or overcome?
I think, I know, I'm pretty confident that I know ultimately what family you're born into has such a profound effect on your life. And fortunately, I just happened to lob up in a very sporty family. Not just the average sporting family, but quite just that elite level of sportsmanship. And because I was the third born, so mum and dad had gone through 2 children already, I turn up, they're like, well, these 2 survived. I'm sure we can keep this one alive, even though he's a little bit different. And I take my hat off to mum and dad, and I've told them multiple times that I appreciate everything you've done for me. There was no physio in the 70s when I was born. There was no OTs. There was no speeches or anything like that. So mum and dad, and we lived in a small country town of 20,000 people. So mum and dad literally just had to do it themselves. And I think because we were always at sporting events, whether it was basketball, little athletics, AFL, soccer, that was my rehabilitation or physiotherapy or OT. And I'm so proud of what mum and dad did for me, and then my sister and brother as well. They didn't treat me anything different. We've got old 7mm footage of me walking up our driveway with an old pram full of concrete, because that's how mum and dad were told to teach me to walk. So I think I told you as we were walking inside, when I was born, the doctor said I would never walk ever in my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So now it still makes me sad, because here's someone passing judgment on a baby that was born, and they're like, oh no, he'll never walk. But I guess that's the stigma of the 70s.
Right.
But mum and dad clearly just didn't give a shit, and they just went, well, you're coming here and you'll just learn by osmosis.
Yep.
Like, I don't know how I learnt to kick a footy, shoot a basketball, hit a golf ball, any of that. It just sort of come along. And I think I played against you volleyball.
Yeah.
And I didn't start playing volleyball till I was 26.
Yeah, right. So that was something you started later.
Yeah, no volleyball in our little country town. So
True.
There was an advertisement at where I get my artificial leg made, and said, oh, we're after, this is what we've got going on. We've got a group of volleyballers come along. And I still remember walking into the stadium, because I don't hang out with other disabled people.
Right.
So you turn up and there's like 20 disabled people there, and you're like, holy shit, what am I doing here? This is not my...
It didn't feel like a space you actually fit a part of, because you'd learned to just...
Yeah, assimilate into normal society, which is perfect.
Yeah.
But then you walk into this stadium and there's 20 other guys there with disabilities, and you're like, I don't think I really want to be here. And then I introduced myself to the coach, 2 coaches, and one threw me the ball, and he said, oh, can you do this? And I went, oh yeah, piece of piss. And he's like, holy shit, you've just natural at it. You know, some people are just clumsy with like a cricket bat, a ball and that. And I was like, oh no, this is easy.
Yeah.
So it's sort of, one, it was a bit of a shock walking into there, but I can't, sport was everything for me. And I was so, even watching the AFL Grand Final on last Saturday, I still wish I could have participated at that elite level of footy. And it's still, I remember when I couldn't play footy anymore, it was about year 8, and I was gutted. because you can't.
Yeah.
Like, one, I couldn't keep up,
Yeah.
but it was, you couldn't hang out with your mates. You couldn't go on all the school footy trips.
Oh, no.
So it literally, from year 9 to year 10 was really tough.
Yeah.
Because I was the biggest kid in the class because I was already 6 foot and 6'4" now. So, and I could play basketball or shoot the ball better than anybody else, but I couldn't run the court fast enough. So it just destroyed me. It was a tough, still makes me sad.
That was the toughest time.
Oh, 100%.
Losing your social circle, really.
Well,
Or not losing your social, but not being able to do what I guess your mates were doing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the part that would, like I still catch up with all my school friends. We just had a catch up 3 months ago and still kick their ass at sport. But if we had to run 50 metres, I'd be screwed.
Right.
So
it became a matter of accepting that some things simply were limitations.
Yeah.
I guess you would have to just kind of figure out to what degree you could do everything and then do it your very best that you could.
Yeah, that's right. Or be the first to do something crazy. I still remember we had a massive park across from where we lived and we hooked up this flying fox, like about 5 of us, and tried to, and like we were probably maybe 2 stories up. So we were high, maybe 3. Feels like it was 50 when you were an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old. And clearly we had no idea about physics, trying to string this bit of rope across.
Yeah.
And someone goes, well, who's going first? So I went, I'll go. Just fell through all these branches. Fortunately, hit all the branches and then didn't hit the ground straight up. But I would do things first just to try and prove myself.
Right. So it actually led to you being a bit like more outgoing. You wanted to, I guess, act in a way that made up for your disability.
I think I had things to prove. Like I never would have used my disability, as you would know. I'd never use it as in the Carry Hole or at Flat Rock. Never use it to my advantage.
No.
Ever. And I've never been that type of person unless I'm trying to get a car park and then pull out the disabled car park sticker and jump into that. But I would never use that as an excuse ever.
That being said, though, premium disabled parking, that's a perk.
It is, definitely. But you know what? In my head, I've only had that car park, that disabled car park premium sticker for 4 years.
Yeah.
I will still, if I can find another car space, I will still leave that one.
You'll leave that one.
Yeah, that's just my headspace. Because there's always going to be someone worse off.
Gotcha.
Worse off than you.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. So you said you didn't really feel particularly like you belonged in the world of disabled people. But did you find good community amongst the guys?
Yeah, of course. Of course. So I think the whole volleyball thing kicked off literally 4 years before the Sydney Olympics, so 1996. So they had 4 years to get a team together. So you eventually found and went, these guys are just as batshit crazy as what I am. And they've got stories like you have as well. So I found solace in that. And being Aussies, we just bonded over drinking beers.
Yeah, right.
So we become quite a close team once we got closer to 2000. And you would you'd just disregard all those disabilities. And I guess it's a bit like you and the guys in the hole. You just go, it's just great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just great. If he has to paddle out the extra 200 metres to get out to the back, then that's what it is.
That's right. And no one gives it to you easy by any means.
No, not at all.
No,
if anything, I caught more shit off you guys than not necessarily you, but your cousin Tom, and then won't even mention the others.
Yeah, it's good though. Just stir each other up.
Yeah, it's definitely found a community within that disability world And I wish I would have found it earlier because I love team sports and I loved my volleyball team, but I also like pushing myself to the fullest, and I would have chosen swimming back.
Yeah, right, if you'd known earlier.
Yeah. But I got caught up in the business world. Like I started with the company that I worked for 25 years. I started when I was 20.
Yeah, right.
So really young, straight out of like doing a business course, went into work for these guys.
Yeah.
And then I was becoming really successful at that. So got bigger stores, got a state, and then ended up running the country. So all of the sport just went to the back burner because when you're 26, in the Paralympic world, you still can compete at a super high level.
Yeah.
Crazily enough, I watched a bit a couple of months ago and I said to the kids, I said I'll be 58 when Brisbane rolls around, and I'd like to know what the record time for 50 metres and the 100 metre free in my disability category would be. And they're like, why? I said, well, I think I could still compete at 58. And they went, Dad, you're crazy. I went, no, not necessarily.
Yeah.
Because I would just swim to 6'4", that level.
Yeah.
So I would be determined. I would need to know the world record first to see if I could get close to it.
Yeah.
And then just train your butt off.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So potentially watch this space.
Potentially, but I would like to say no right now.
Okay.
It's just a pipe dream. But like I said, I would have loved to have done the swimming back in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Speaking of communities, what they've done for you and swimming, you found yourself and I found myself in a pretty nice community down by the beach there. It's the Dawn Beach community.
Yep.
It's really fantastic. Like it does a world of good for me. Like I just love it. It's got everything. It's got exercise, it's got sun, it's got that morning light, it's got the early rise, it's got great people.
Yeah.
And of course it's got the waves, and it's a lovely wave too. And I was just wondering, also in relation to your disability, but not just that, what is body surfing, the ocean, the Dawn community done for you?
It keeps you fit and healthy, but also there's such a different level of experience from myself, John, who are 50 and 60, and then you got all you guys in your late 20s. There's a bunch of mid-30s there. I think, you guys keep us young, and sometimes we offer our life experiences, even though I think I'm like 22 or something, hanging around you guys, but I still feel young at heart, and I still can compete with you guys. So you guys keep us young, and we offer some type of life experience. So just sitting here today having a conversation.
That's true.
And then you look at the whole perpetual thing of life. One of our friends, Jacob Black, he's just had a baby that's 5 months old. And I'm like, I just want to cuddle her.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's about. Like I enjoy the community as a whole, and that keeps me healthy, but then it's the whole water thing. So for me, the reason I mentioned the swimming and the water is because that's truly when I feel we're all equal. Because you guys have got 2 legs on land. I've got 1 leg on land. But when I'm in the water, I feel like I could kick your asses fair part of the time. So that's why I enjoy the water. And then I think people forget about the water's alive. I'm right into grounding, which I don't know if you know what grounding is.
How do you understand grounding?
So grounding is, example, you were out in the garden today with no shoes on.
I did it on purpose before this.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
So the earth is alive and it's full of electrons and energy, and that just cleans up all the shit in your body. and it creates a healthier body for me. So being in the water, because it is live and it's moving, like even every day that it's crap during winter, the surf's no good or whatever's going on, I'll still put on a pair of board shorts, get in the water, even if it's for a minute, just to wash off all that crap that's on you. So that's my understanding of grounding. Am I close?
Yes.
And then the sun as well. Like, people ridicule the sun and say it's bad for us and it's destroying the earth. And I'm like, what a load of shit. Do you really think if there was no fucking sun that anything would be alive, including you? And that's my take on it. That morning sun is beautiful, especially this time of year. You're coming in, you're in spring.
Yeah.
But it's just nice and warm.
So nice.
Yeah. Just standing there having a chat, whether you get in the water or not for a surf, just having a chat and getting that sun. And I truly feel like I've got friends outside of the carry hole group that literally bag us for doing what we do. And I'm like, how about you just fuck off and keep your negative shit over there? Because who cares? As long as you're having fun.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you ride. Surfing is all about the person that's having the most fun.
That's what I've come to learn.
Yeah, 100%.
I've come to learn. It's like you can go out there and there's lots of people with stink face, and not all the time, but majority of the time they'll be sitting on a board. Surfing somehow took this turn where it became this big individual ego-driven sport. Yeah. Whereas I think, and I love surfing. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love surfing. It's one of the coolest things ever. But it's like the alternative crafts allow you the ability to be silly, to poke fun at yourselves, to ride together as well, to party wave, and it's actually good. Yep. It makes for a more fun wave. And what I've come to learn as well is they're all quite different. Like, you get on like a mat, you're like an absolute speed machine. You get on the bullets, you can get into barrels that no one thought you could.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And if you just go bare bones on, like, without the hand plane, that's the most natural thing I can think of on this entire planet, to swim in a wave with just you and your body. That is really something. And
I think I'm not sure if you saw it on our Instagram group, that David Restovich body surfing, like, had no flippers on, no hand plane, nothing. The dude was a freak in the water. And I'm just like, well, that's what someone would have done thousands of years ago, and then surfing's evolved from that. And you're completely right. Somewhere stand-up surfing has an ego around it, and it all depends of the crew that you hang out with as well. Correct. For us, there is no egos, and that's what I like about our group of, say, 10 or 12 or whatever it is, or whatever it is tomorrow morning. Yeah. When the surf's good, there'll be like the token 4 blokes there, or 2 blokes. Yeah. But there's no egos. No. So that's what I enjoy about our community.
Thank you for listening to the second part of our interview with Grant. Next week, we'll speak with Grant about his way of building positive relationships in family and business, his mentors, and the difference between Steiner and public schools. This will be released the coming Monday. Next, if you are one of our regular listeners, or even if you're new here, I'd like to invite you to trade us and leave a star rating on Spotify or Apple Music, or hit subscribe on YouTube. This genuinely helps us get discovered by new listeners, and would be epic if you could help us out. Thirdly, Between Views is opening its Patreon community. If you would like to join the community and receive weekly updates and exclusive ideas, then you can check it out at patreon.com/betweenviews. In other news, Between Views is always looking for collaborators. If you want to join the team or create something together, then please reach out on Instagram. Finally, if you know someone who deserves to be interviewed, or just have some feedback, then let us have an email at betweenviewsbv@gmail.com or message us on Instagram. Thanks again and see you soon. Between Views.